We also have a challenge because there's a radical elite in this country who would decisively change America in a direction of a secular socialist system that would basically end the system we've known. You'll notice when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we use Lincoln's words, "One nation under God," which comes from the Gettysburg Address. And I wrote a book a couple years ago called Rediscovering God in America, which actually is a walking tour of Washington. It takes you around step by step and shows you how the monuments and the people they represent related to God, starting with the #1 political document in American history, which is in our National Archive. You can see the original copy, the Declaration of Independence, which says something extraordinarily important. We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, I want to make 3 quick points about this, because it relates to the crisis we're coming to in a book I'll have come out in May called To Save America, because I think we're in a fight where we're really talking about saving America, because I think the other side would literally eliminate the America we grew up in. The first principle is we're endowed by our Creator. Now, there are 2 parts to that. The first is, if schools taught that, they would have to explain what the Founding Fathers meant by the word Creator. And that, of course, would make the ACLU and others very anxiety-ridden, because they prefer to teach false history rather than teach accurate history, if accurate history involves words that frighten the left. But accurate history here is simple. Our Founding Fathers, and this is the most radical document in governmental history in the world, the Founding Fathers believe power comes from God to each one of you personally. You are endowed personally. You're sovereign. And then, and the endowment is inalienable. No lawyer, no judge, no politician, no bureaucrat can take away what God's given you. And then you have an obligation, because you loan power to the government. That's why the Constitution begins, we the people. Doesn't begin we the politicians, doesn't begin we the lawyers, doesn't begin we the bureaucrats, it says we the people. And so you loan power. But notice that there's a second part of this. You're endowed with the power, God has endowed you with the right to pursue happiness. Notice that phrase, to pursue happiness. Happiness in the Scottish Enlightenment, where Jefferson got the phrase, meant wisdom and virtue. It did not mean acquisition and hedonism. And they thought that one of your jobs should be as a citizen to acquire wisdom and virtue. But they thought you should pursue it. Now notice, it doesn't say you have a right to happiness. It doesn't say that the absence of happiness is a litigatable thing. It doesn't say that we need a federal department of happiness. It doesn't suggest that happiness stamps for the unhappy would be a fair thing, nor does it suggest that we should redistribute happiness so that those who have too much happiness have to give it to those who don't know. It uses the word pursuit, which is why the very first summer in 1607, when the first English-speaking colonists were at Jamestown, and 2 or 3 of the aristocrats who paid their own way said to Captain John Smith, "We don't need to work, we've already paid." And Captain John Smith said, "This is a new world." He said, "I can't make you work, but if you don't work, you won't eat." And they had a day or so of thinking about this proposition and took up the work ethic. It's why the work ethic is at the heart of the American system.